Africa to Thrive in Uganda is working hard to enhance food security and improving livelihoods of refugee communities and host communities in 4 settlements across Western Nile region, which includes Apalorenya refugee settlement in Ubongi, Imvepi refugee settlement in Terego district, Rhino Camp refugee settlement in Madiokolo, and Lobole refugee settlement in Koboko district, equally supporting or enhancing the livelihoods of the host communities in Karamoja region as well as northern Uganda. These locations have their own characteristics as regards to food security and improved livelihoods. When we look at the refugees, they have a 30 by 30 meter piece of land that they are given by Office of the Prime Minister, and this is the same land they are supposed to use for settling in terms of putting up shelter for them and carry out farming activities at the same time. They equally have a knowledge gap on production, and then when we look at Karamoja, with about 66% income poverty and 75% food poverty, climate change has been the greatest underminer of agricultural production, and this has been a very great threat to food insecurity in Karamoja. And because of this, the populations in Karamoja have resorted to holding guns against themselves to deprive others of their own property, primarily cattle. Livelihood is a component of a human life. Looking at the refugees that come into Uganda, as a country, we have to create an enabling environment that helps them continue with their livelihood. And that is why FORAFRIKA to Thrive in Uganda mainly focuses on enhancing food security and improving livelihoods of refugees and host communities in Uganda. Food security is when all people at all times have physical and economic access to sufficient, safe and nutritious food that meets their diet needs and food preferences for an active and healthy life. Here FORAFRIKA to Thrive in Uganda is looking at, do these people, the refugees and host communities, have food available to them? Can they access this food? Are they able to utilize this food? How about stability? How stable is the source of food? Is the food able to help them curb malnutrition amongst themselves? Achieving this is not something that just happens overnight, because there are so many factors that are holding this back. Climate change and global warming that will not just let a refugee or a rural person achieve food security. We have scarcity of land for farming, and this is greatly experienced by refugees who are only given a 30 by 30 meter land that cannot do much of farming. And then we have technological barriers because due to the political instabilities, the South Sudanese run into the country. Others come in without having access to education that is adequate enough for them to get employment opportunities in the formal sector. That means their levels of technology is so low, and that becomes a great barrier to achieving food security and improved livelihoods. And then we equally have inadequate supply of water for irrigation, because Uganda generally is heavily dependent on rain-fed agriculture, and the only option out is using other water sources to irrigate our crops. And these water sources are equally not as available as it should be. We have very few permanent rivers and swamps to provide water for irrigation. However, FORAFRIKA to Thrive in Uganda, through her food security and improved livelihood program, is empowering the refugees and host communities to increase availability and consumption of nutritious food, and this therefore enhances food security, improves household income, as well as reducing chronic malnutrition.